There we go. Thank you, everyone. Well, my name is Jessie Vandervolgen, and I am the Assistant Director of the Network of the National Library of Medicine Training Office. I'm actually in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we're so pleased to bring to you a new opportunity in conjunction with the Carpentries. How many of you have previously heard of the Carpentries? Library carpentry, data carpentry, software carpentry. You give me a yes or a no, or I like that. Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why you're here. You know of the good work of the Carpentries here. I have been so impressed by the way the Carpentries operate. Their hands-on lessons are taught in a very approachable manner. They're maintained through a community effort. They have a model code of conduct and really strive to help libraries meet the data and software needs of their communities and staff, whoever those communities and staff are. And so if you're up for it, let me know in the chat what kind of organization you're coming from today. Are you in a health sciences library? Are you in a public library, public health department? Where are you coming to us from today? I know we've got a lot of folks from our academic medical centers, academic libraries, public libraries, private library, nonprofit, nonprofit industry. I think I saw it's going quickly. This is great. This is going to give us a lot of information. School of Information Science, awesome. Public library, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with me and all of us. So last winter, our organization, the NTO, had planned to bring in participants for a hands-on workshop in Salt Lake City and with our colleagues on the East Coast in Baltimore. But it was scheduled for late March, so you can guess what happened to those workshops. Unfortunately, we had to cancel them, but that gave us and Library Carpentry a chance to rethink what we could offer and how to expand the number of folks who could attend, because we want anyone to be able to attend these workshops, whether you have travel funds, professional development funds, or not. That's really important to us. And so to tell you about the exciting opportunities coming up and how to participate in them, we have the Executive Director of the Carpentries, Dr. Carrie L. Jordan, and two library carpentry instructors and advisory board members, Ariel Deerdorf, and I think Julie Goldman is here today. I kind of lost track of the participants there, but just a couple quick notes before we start. The session will be recorded. The recorded session will have captions. I don't have live captions today. And it will be sent out to everyone who is registered. If you did not register for this session, you're just here because it sounded fun, came spur of the moment, that's fine. And you want to make sure you get a recording. You'll want to send a message to us, and I'll put that info in the chat box. So Carrie, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Jessie. It's great to be with you all today. I'm going to share my screen because I did prepare a few slides. I'm going to get through them efficiently because I really want to give Ariel and Julie space to talk about their experience with library carpentry. And so I'm going to present the opportunity that we have for library carpentry workshops and training, and then our two, I call them my special guests, will talk a little bit more about their experience as well. And then of course we want to answer any questions that you have about the opportunity. And so here we go. You should be able to see my slides, yes?
Yep.
Perfect, okay, just making sure. So welcome again. I will be speaking to you about library carpentry specifically, and here's a little bit of an overview of what I'll cover today. So first, we'll talk a little bit about the Carpentries in general, in case you're not familiar with the overall organization. An introduction to library carpentry. Who is library carpentry? What do we do? What kinds of communities do we serve? And then I'll talk about what are library carpentry workshops, a little bit about what they looked like pre-pandemic and what they look like right now as well, in addition to our instructor training and the opportunity that you will have as a part of this partnership with NNLM to attend a Carpentries instructor training. We have 5 workshops that are already confirmed, and I saw that they're ready in the system as well. And so I'll give you the dates and information on how to apply for those workshops. And then we'll look at, I'll pass it over actually to two of our prominent library carpentry leaders so that they can share their experiences working with and for the library carpentry community. And of course, we want to answer any questions that you have, so we'll leave plenty of time for that. The Carpentries is a nonprofit project. We are a fiscally sponsored program of community initiatives, which is a 501c3 nonprofit out of California. And the Carpentries were founded to train individuals on software development, data science skills, with the goal of helping to be more effective and efficient in research and data practices. One of the things that we try to promote is that data is for everyone. And so we get this question asked often, why is it carpentry? What does that have to do with anything? And when you think about a carpenter or carpentry, you think about the basics. What are the building blocks that you need in order to build a foundation for a solid structure? And that's why we have the name carpentry. So for library carpentry, the lessons and content are about building the foundational skills for library and information science roles, or those who are helping in those roles. A little bit more about the carpentries. Let me move this out the way. Okay, a little bit more about the carpentries in terms of how we're structured. We have 85 member organizations, and these are individuals who have made a commitment, not only a person time commitment, but also a financial commitment to fulfilling the mission of the Carpentries. Our vision is to be the leading inclusive community teaching data and coding skills. And so with that, over time, we've trained 2,800 instructors. We have run workshops in 61 countries on 7 continents. And we've reached over 70,000 learners in our workshops. Our team is global, but there are only 13 of us who work for the Carpentries, for the actual project. And so we live all over. From myself, executive director, I live in Florida. We have team members who live in Estonia, South Africa, France, California, Philadelphia, like all over. And so each person on our team liaises with different segments of the community in order to empower community members to go out and teach workshops, build community in the ways that are culturally relevant for them. So this is our team. And I think, well, Jesse already did introduce me, but I'm Carrie Jordan, Executive Director of the Carpentry. Again, in terms of our reach, it's phenomenal to see that we've reached so many regions, and we are getting ready to expand even more. And so we've onboarded regional coordinators in Australia, in New Zealand, in Canada, in Southern Africa, in the UK, all over the world, to build capacity for reaching new communities, because we truly feel that learning data skills is important no matter where you are, no matter what background you come from. So this map shows where our workshops have been held over time. So that is a very quick introduction about the Carpentries in general, and I want to take some time to hone in on library carpentry. Now, the Carpentries has 3 lesson programs. The first lesson program that was founded back in 1998 is software carpentry. And the audience for that lesson program and the content that the community teaches is around software development for research. Data carpentry was the second lesson program that was founded, and the audience is more so domain specific in ecology, genomics, and things like that. Library carpentry was our lastly onboarded lesson program, and again, the audience is for those who are interested in library and information related roles, focusing on, you know, collecting information, museums and archives and things like that. And so library carpentry develops lessons and teaches workshops for individuals in these roles or those who support individuals in these roles as well. And we truly see library carpentry as an on-ramp to empower these communities to use software. A lot of times I love to give my own testimony or my own example when it comes to being sort of an imposter or feeling like an imposter when it comes to data and software. Although I come from an engineering background, I very much shied away from all things data, all things programming. And so one of the things that I love about library carpentry is that it is an on-ramp to for individuals who are not used to working with data and software in their everyday workflows. Just a few I would say, bright spots that we've been able to kind of showcase. And one is our commitment to libraries and to seeing the carpentries empowered in libraries all over the world through IMLS. Now, we made an announcement last year where we received a supplemental award from IMLS through our partnership with the California Digital Library. And so with that partnership and also obviously the NNLM, we're doing everything that we can to bring the carpentries to as many libraries as possible because we truly believe the skills and perspectives that we're teaching will help you in your everyday work. Another article that we pulled talks about the strategic value of library carpentry and the carpentries in general in research libraries. Long ago, it used to be that the science people did science and the data people did data and the librarians did what they did. But now we're finding that you have to be flexible, you have to be agile, you have to be collaborative. And so it's very important for us to show that these principles are for everyone, no matter what position you sit in. So let's get into specifics. Yes, what is a library carpentry workshop? So this is an example of an in-person workshop, of course. Workshops are 2-day format. There are plenty of breaks though, so I don't want anyone to get nervous about the 2-day format. They usually run from 9 a.m. to 5, but there are several breaks and a full hour lunch break. Hands-on live coding, live demonstrations. They are taught by trained instructors, trained carpentry instructors, and we use feedback mechanisms all throughout the workshop such that the instructor adjusts their teaching practices in the workshop so that you can learn as much as possible. We do this thing called teaching the most immediately useful thing first. It's really part of our pedagogy. We want everyone who leaves a carpentry workshop to be able to immediately apply what they've learned in the workshop in their work. And so we also offer a friendly environment. We believe in and truly enforce a code of conduct that says no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, what abilities you have, you will have a positive learning experience in this workshop. So the goals of the workshops are to teach you, not only to teach you the skills that you want to learn, but it's also to introduce you to other people, right? Community building is an extremely important part of library carpentry. It's about learning skills in the workshop and then going on to be a part of a community where you can continue to ask questions, where you can continue to learn more skills, participate in projects where you get to practice your skills and hopefully bring others into the community as well. Now, let me share, I've talked about the workshops and the format, but what actually will you learn in the workshops? What are we teaching in library carpentry workshops? So this is a breakdown of the core curriculum and lessons that we teach in the workshops. The first is data intro for librarians. So this is an introduction to working with regular expressions. The second lesson is the Unix shell, and we use this tool to help with automating tasks. I can't tell you how many times I've had to sit and work in a spreadsheet or send 17 emails one by one when I could write a script in the shell that does everything at once. So hopefully making your lives much easier. Introduction to Git. And so this is a tool where this is a tool that promotes version control so that you can collaborate with your colleagues no matter where they are and see what has been done. OpenRefine, I have to tell you, OpenRefine is my favorite tool. It's for data cleaning, so no more going into the spreadsheet row by row, column by column, and doing things by hand. You can use this powerful tool to clean your data. And then lastly, we have several lessons that are in development that we're looking forward to piloting with NNLM members, including web scraping, the top 10 fair things, an R lesson, Python, tidy data, SQL, and others. Now, why on earth should you take 2 days out of your time to participate in a workshop? I know that you'll be receiving some continuing education credits if you apply for this workshop, and that's phenomenal. Again, refining your skills now more than ever is extremely crucial. We're seeing, especially with this unprecedented time that we're in, you have to be able to have multiple skills in order to be flexible in your work. So we want you to learn new skills, improve on the skills that you already have, and be a part of a global community. Some of the feedback that we've received from our workshops. I'm a data-driven person, right? So I want to share with you some of the feedback that we have received. And we like to use kind of like these color-coded yellow sticky, what's working, red sticky, something that needs to be changed. And so at the end of the day, we collect feedback about the workshop, and the instructors go through the feedback to see what they should do to improve or change their approach for the second day of the workshop. So individuals have told us that they like examples. They like to be able to work through examples, multiple examples in a workshop to make sure that they truly understand the concepts. Excellent introductions from the instructors. I take pride in our instructors and how awesome they are with introducing themselves and why the tools are important to them. And then learning about collaboration in a workshop environment is also helpful. And then we don't shy away from negative feedback or constructive criticism. We value a culture of feedback. And so individuals have told us that they do want more time to practice. Our instructors are very excitable, I should say, and they like to get through a lot of content. And sometimes we've heard from learners that we need a little more time to kind of slow down and do more practice. And we take that feedback very seriously. What are our learners saying about our workshops? This is one of the graphs from the analysis of our long-term feedback survey. So every 6 months, we send out a survey to learners who have taken a workshop within the past 6 months to understand, are you still using the tools that you learned 6 months ago in the workshop? Where are you? And we're seeing that most participants are more confident in the tools than they were before they attended the actual Carpentry's workshop. Now, I want to pivot to our instructor training program. So I hope everyone's taking notes, putting things in the chat so you don't forget what your questions are. Let me pivot to instructor training, and then we'll have time to hear from 2 instructors. We will be delivering 5 library carpentry workshops. When you participate in those workshops, you may consider becoming an instructor, a volunteer instructor with the Carpentries. And to do that, you'll go through a 2-day instructor training program. In this program, you'll learn how to teach you'll learn an introduction to evidence-based teaching. So learning how to use active learning, how to use feedback, how to use formative assessment, in the workshop, how to create a positive learning environment in a diverse classroom, working with people from various backgrounds and cultural, ethnic identities and things like that. We'll talk about how you can become integrated within the Carpentries community and then prepare you to actually teach a Carpentries workshop. We spend a lot of time allowing you to practice the delivery of the content that you learn. And so the workshop, the instructor training is 2 days. And when you finish the 2 days, there are three mini steps that you go through, and then you receive a certificate and you're added to the Carpentries instructor pool. Our instructor training is taught by 2 certified trainers. So there's so many people, right? We have the trainers who teach the trainer training program, and then they go on to be actual Carpentries instructors. So I'm a trainer. I love teaching instructor training. I love talking about educational pedagogy and evidence-based teaching practices and figuring out how to be a better how to deliver technical content, because I have to tell you, my experience wasn't the best when I was in college and graduate school. I wish someone had taught some of my professors how to teach. And so that's what we cover in instructor training. It's particularly for the 2-day format. Now, what are we doing with NNLM? We are going to train library carpentry instructors through NNLM. We're going to run 5 workshops with varying topics that we talked about earlier, from the Unix shell to tidy data. And we're also going to pilot our additional curriculum with NNLM so that we can hear from you, because you're working in the field every day. You'll be able to tell us or give us feedback about our curriculum so that we can make improvements. What do you need to do to sign up for a workshop? Here are the dates, times, and time zones for each of the workshops that have been confirmed. We will make sure to put the link to the application in the chat, and I think the recording will be available, so you'll have the link to the application. We are asking you to complete the application. Tell us a couple of dates that you're available, and also block out dates that you're not at all available, so that we can make sure as many people as possible can attend the workshops. Now, since the workshops are virtual, they will be taught via Zoom. We do cap the workshops at 20 participants to make it easier on the instructors. We usually do a 1-to-10 ratio with instructors to learners. You'll be taught by 2 certified library carpentry instructors, and we'll have supporting instructors and helpers on the workshop as well to help navigate the chat and answer questions and things like that. So we invite everyone to apply to take part in one of the 5 workshops. There we go. And now I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can hear from these are 2 of my favorite people from Library Carpentry. Ariel first, and then Julie. Tell us about your experiences, anything that you would like to share with the NNLM community.
All right. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Carrie, if you can give me a thumbs up if I'm coming. Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. So my name is Ariel Deerdorf, and I'm the Data Services Librarian at the University of California, San Francisco. And so here at UCSF, we are a graduate-only health sciences university. And I'll just tell you a little bit about kind of how I became involved in the carpentries world and library carpentry specifically. But I think my TLDR is that I'm really excited about this group, and I'm really excited that all of you have an opportunity to take some of these workshops. So here at UCSF, we first became involved with the carpentries about, let's see, 4 or 5 years ago now, which is when I first came to the university and really saw that there was a need for data science education on campus. We have a lot of researchers coming in and saying, hey, turns out I need to know how to program in order to run any of my experiments, and I never learned that in grad school. So within the library, we saw this as a really great place to provide some new services. And so we started to work with the Carpentries to actually bring software carpentry workshops to campus. And so Carrie mentioned software carpentry is really targeted at teaching researchers how to program to do their research. And these were super, super popular. We had a typical workshop, we would maybe have 20 people. We would try to do 2 at the same time, and we would have they would generally fill up in like a couple hours, and then we would have like 90 people on the wait list. So we tried to keep offering them as much as we can because they were so popular and they really filled a need. And then within the library, we were saying, hey, it'd be great if we had these skills actually, so that we could teach these workshops and didn't have to kind of continually bring in external instructors. So we started kind of training up our own library staff. We all went through instructor training and got to the point where we could offer these workshops ourselves. So now library staff is teaching these workshops to our campus community. And kind of as I was going through that, I was really seeing, man, there's so many of these skills and these workshops that would be so useful for librarians as well. I think I was doing a lot of assessment work at that point, and I was saying, God, I spent so much time like in a spreadsheet, manually cleaning things, and then like trying to build graphs in Excel, and it's just very tedious. And I feel like I'm not doing it the best way. And as I was kind of exposed to these workshops, I was seeing, oh my God, if I knew how to do, programming in R, if I knew how to use some of these tools, I could really transform my work, and I could, help my colleagues transform a lot of the work that they do as well. So that's where I kind of became interested in the carpentries, the library carpentry side of things. And kind of on my own decided to go through some of the materials to teach myself. I also dipped into some of the other lessons. So, you can kind of mix and match depending on what you're interested in. But really found that I was able to kind of upskill myself. So learn some R, use OpenRefine, which if you haven't used OpenRefine, I can guarantee it will transform your life. It's an amazing tool. And became interested in kind of becoming certified so that I could teach these to other folks, and eventually becoming a trainer as well. So now I teach I teach librarians how to become carpentry instructors so that they can teach. So it's kind of our train the trainer approach. So I think at this point, recently, Carrie mentioned kind of reaching out to libraries more, and something that I've been working on here in California is reaching out more to my colleagues around California and saying, hey, do you want to collaborate on these workshops? I'm at a relatively large university, but I'm the only data librarian. And so it's been really great to, partner on teaching workshops with librarians at Berkeley, or, at Cal State San Jose, or other places around the Bay. And, somebody asked in the chat about, are these virtual workshops? And at this point, they mostly are, which has also opened new doors for collaboration. So I would encourage you, as you think about, either attending these, or maybe you want to host one yourself, but think about who you might want to partner with to host a workshop, because so much of the Carpentries is about finding community, is about building community. And, I think that here in California, we've really been able to kind of build a local community of folks who are interested in data training and providing data training, librarians who are interested in kind of upskilling their own data skills. And it's just been a really fabulous collaboration. And kind of all of that started with some involvement in the Carpentries and kind of being infused with their kind of spirit of collaboration. So, at this point, I'm really excited about this. I'm the co-chair of the Library Carpentry Advisory Board, so I really do try and promote the Carpentries whenever I can. But I think that's kind of my spiel for now, and I'll hand it over to Julie, who can maybe talk a little bit more about some of the more formal collaborations that she's been a part of.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ariel. So hi, everyone. I'm the data services librarian at Countway Library, which is part of the Harvard Library system. And Countway Library is our medical school library. We also serve school of public health, dentistry, and our affiliate hospitals. So we actually have a very diverse community that we're serving. And to just jump off what Ariel was saying, I gotten started with the Carpentries, focusing on those collaborations that Ariel mentioned. So I'm, in Boston, I'm in the New England area. We're a very, close-knit region. We have data librarians at many of the institutions across our region. And we're already, collaborating for many years on, what is data librarianship, what are data services, how are we serving our diverse communities, especially when it comes to, the whole data-driven world that we're living in. So one of us had this, idea that we should get involved in the carpentries, because like Ariel said, librarians need to be able to serve their communities, better and stay up to speed with all the changing, ways to do research. And then also adapting, our skills to be, more efficient and pointed. So we decided that we would form this kind of consortium. At the time, library carpentries actually wasn't its own thing yet. It was still under this umbrella of one of the different organizations. So we termed our group NESCLIC, which is the New England Software Carpentry Library Consortium. A little confusing, but since it was, mainly the software carpentries, that's how we aligned ourselves. But we're a group of libraries, and basically we nominated people within each of our libraries to go through this instructor training, with the thought that, thanks Ariel for throwing the link to our website into the chat, so you can learn more about our group. But basically we wanted, librarians to upskill to become these instructors so that we could run these workshops on our campuses for our communities. And like Ariel just pointed out, collaborations were so key, because while you may have, 2 librarians at your institution who, have done the instructor training, we could pull easily from other instructors in our region, collaborate, run these workshops more efficiently with more helpers, more instructors, more knowledge, more expertise, all that kind of thing. Another thing Ariel mentions is, picking things, an area to tailor in. So I keep it pretty simple. I focus on, like Unix. I also love OpenRefine, but, stick to your strong suits and find what you work with in your everyday that will make you, a better trainer, a better teacher. I know a little R. I just taught some lessons in R. Was it great? But, I did it, got, threw in some best data management practices in there. So it's really about focusing on what your strong suits are, and pulling in your expert knowledge to the carpentries as well. So we've been running NESCLIC for 3 years. We're about to start up our 4th cohort. We've been finding new institutions who are interested in getting their staff, trained as trainers, to host more workshops on their campuses. Specifically at Harvard, we've run, Harvard's huge, so there have, lots of people do carpentry style workshops across the campus, but we've run a couple of library carpentry specific workshops for our library staff, focusing on different areas. So I think the first workshop, we focused on Unix, tidy data, working with data and spreadsheets, those kinds of skills. And then we had a more specialized workshop, focusing on working with like GIS data. So you can kind of, tailor it to, groups within your library, what they need. Metadata librarians may need something different from, your public access services that librarians who are collecting lots of different survey data. So that's the great thing about the carpentries, is there's so many different topics and tools that you can pull from to apply to lots of different library work and library area. I also sit on the Library Carpentry Advisory Board, so that's been really, really just fruitful to connect with other librarians from across the world doing all this work and learning from what people are doing. I think the biggest thing I've learned is how you can get this tied into your job. I love hearing about how other, forget where he's from, Ariel, David, but you know, this is his job. He does library carpentry as part of his data services work, which I think is fantastic. And I think this is really where maybe data services librarians is evolving too. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts and what I'm involved in. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Ariel. It's so helpful because I haven't taught a library carpentry workshop yet, but I think I'm going to be a helper for one of the workshops that we teach with NNLM. So it's great to hear directly from individuals involved with the community. There was one question that I saw that I wanted to clarify as well about the workshops and the topics that will be taught, what tools will be taught in the various workshops. And so we have volunteer instructors who are teaching the workshops, and we're currently working out, we have already identified who the instructors will be. And so it normally takes 2 to 3 months to identify instructors, but we've been very fortunate that library carpentry community as a whole has jumped in and said, yes, we want to teach these workshops for NNLM. And so with that, we're still working out what specific tool will be taught in the workshop. But once we know that information, I'll make sure to provide that to Jessie so that she can update the website. I know sometimes it may help to know what tool will be taught so you can decide which workshop you want to attend. One, or maybe Julie, if you could tell the group, are there certain tools that no matter which workshop, we will always teach Unix shell, for example, or does it depend on the instructor's expertise?
So I can just volunteer that I'm teaching the workshop on January 20th or 21st, I think. And we are still figuring out exactly what we're going to cover, but I don't think I've ever been to a library carpentry workshop that didn't cover OpenRefine. So I can almost guarantee that OpenRefine will be on the docket because it's everybody's favorite. But other than that, you'll probably get some kind of introduction to working with data, probably OpenRefine, and then since we're kind of piloting some newer lessons, you might have either a programming language like Unix or R or Python, or some of the more kind of web scraping SQL. I think we're looking at R, but we still haven't totally decided.
All right, great. So I will make sure once we know which topics will be taught to include that the information will be included on the website. I see a question about instructor training. And so if you participate in a workshop with NNLM, you can apply for the instructor training program, and that is also at no cost to you. So thank you, Jessie. So that the partnership with NNLM includes the instructor training. I also see that there are certain universities that block Google, and so I can create the application forms in type form and make sure that Jessie has them as well. So you'll maybe Jessie, do you want people to wait and just use the one type form, or how would you like to do that? I'll wait.
The double mute got me. If you would like to send me the type form, I'll attach it to the page that Sarah shared, so you can send it. Anyone can send a form in that way as well.
Perfect. All right. And so I had a question about when will the instructor training take place? So the instructor training will take place in late January, early February. We want to make sure everyone has gone through a carpentry workshop first so that you can understand, especially if you've never taken a workshop before, it would be difficult to do instructor training to really know the full context around teaching with the carpentries and the approach that we take if you've never taken a workshop. So we want to make sure that we taught all 5 workshops, and then we'll do the instructor training in late January, early February. Okay. Yes.
Let's see.
I think I answered that question already. Okay.
I think I don't. I'd also clarify that for the instructor training, you'll need to have taken a carpentry's workshop, but it doesn't have to have been one through NNLM. We want to, you will need to be an NNLM member, but we want to have we want to make sure that we have a full class and a lot of folks available to provide library carpentry's training across the country and health communities. So Carrie, I think we're caught up with the questions, and so I wanted to just say a little bit about the application process and kind of a few more of the details. um, the application is a Google form, but like we said, we'll make it available otherwise. It will ask if you have attended Carpentry's workshops before, but I want to make it clear that you don't have to have attended anything prior. It's really designed for novices. It's just kind of a census question, try to figure out who's interested here. The big one on here is, how do you hope to make use of the skills you learn in the workshop to benefit health information, or biomedical research in your community? This is because we want to align with the mission of NLM and NNLM. So we'll look for folks who can apply the skills gained in the workshop to benefit health information in their community. So that's I just want to make you aware of that before you click on the link, that's one of the items there. And then, do you currently work in or with library and or information science communities, to make sure that we're gearing sort of the right workshop toward you, and that we're getting the folks that this is intended for. And so what we'll do is you'll fill out the application, and then once accepted and you've received sort of the session that you'll attend, the Carpentries will register you. So you won't do that registration through nnlm.gov. We'll just put up a page there so it's on the calendar, so that we have a spot to point to for the application and the information sessions. The sort of library carpentry workshops will be available. We'll have MLA CE attached to it. We'll do 20 hours of MLA CE, just got approved for that. And then the instructor training, I will also apply for MLA CE for that session as well. So the application will also ask for your institution. We will give priority to folks who come from NNLM member institutions. It's very confusing. The institution itself is the member, but if your institution is not currently an NNLM member, you can become one. It's a free process, and I'll put that in the chat box there. And let me know if you have any questions about that process. Let's see. Carrie, do you want to answer how you're going to do sort of the application to registration? Like, when is the form due, and when will they find out?
Yes, so we are taking applications on a rolling basis until all slots are filled. And so in the application, we've asked you to rank sort of which workshop you can attend by date. So if you have a preference for the October 29th workshop, for example, you would put, this is my first choice, this is my second choice, this is my third choice. And then it takes a week turnaround time for us to confirm whether you have been placed in the workshop or whether you are on a waiting list. And so you will hear that communication directly from me. And then from there, you'll hear from our instructors who will be teaching you the workshop, and they'll send you an email that gives you a workshop webpage. It will tell you what time the workshop starts, what kind of collaborative note-taking document you'll be using in the workshop, all of the breaks, when the breaks are scheduled, what is the link to the Zoom location, all of those details, and any pre-preparation that you need to do for the workshop, things like that. Does that give a good overview, Jesse? I think I answered. Okay, yes. So it's very important that you share with us your choices, and and also let us know if you cannot. We have the workshop dates on the forum, and if there's a day that you absolutely cannot attend the workshop, or if one of the workshops just does not fit your schedule, please share that as well, because it helps us place you all in workshops. And again, there will be 20 seats per workshop.
Yeah, so I think that gets to the beginning of Lenny's question, which is it a competitive application? And really, we want to get as many folks in as possible, but because of the hands-on nature, they're going to limit the number per session. We have 100 slots in the overall workshops. There were about 90 people on the call. So to some extent, although we want to get in as many folks as we can, and library carpentries will be, or the carpentries will be managing um, the selection and matching to the sessions. The instructor application, we'll have to make that available later. I honestly don't know if the interest will exceed the number of slots. So it may become competitive, but we still want to get in as many as we can, and we'll be looking for ways to partner with some of our other folks in NNLM to offer more of the workshops with the carpentries, because we've seen a pretty good interest here. So.
And then there was a question from Karen about the page saying that the registration is closed.
Yeah, so it says closed because we're not managing the registration through our page. You just use that to grab the application process, and then the carpentries will do the registration for the sessions. So.
Perfect. And then there was one other question from Jackie about whether we'll do data carpentry workshops. I guess we'll see how this goes.
Well, that's not on our docket for this year. Our NNLM year ends April 30th, and we're all going to be, renewing our applications to be the host for our RMLs and offices. But there's a lot of enthusiasm with NNLM working with the carpentries, and we're looking for more and more opportunities. So you might also ask your institution if they're planning to host a data carpentries workshop, and maybe bring it to your own library. And the Southeast Atlantic region is, they have awards to bring the library carpentries workshops. They're still online, but for institutions to host the carpentries workshop. So let me see if I can grab that link in the next minute or two for more info about that too.
Can I just sneak in real quick here and say that, even if you can't go to these workshops, I mean, it's fabulous that NLM is putting them on. One thing to remember is that all of this curriculum material is totally open source. So you can go, you can look at it. Like, I worked through many of these on my own, just me, on my computer. So that's a little less fun, obviously, than learning in a workshop. But you can do this on your own. You can look at the library carpentry, data carpentry, software carpentry on your own, remix it, teach it to your own students. This is a kind of an open community, so remember that as well.
That's such a great point. The very first workshop I attended was a software carpentry workshop, and I definitely felt like a fish out of water. I'm not gonna lie. But what was interesting is after day one, I went to the mall and I sat in the food court with my laptop, and I went to the lesson online and I went through it by myself, and I said, oh, I get it. So the next day I was much more engaged. I really felt like I knew what was going on, because again, all of our material is open source. You can check it out at any time. But of course, it does help to have that instruction, from someone, and interacting with your peers. And one more thing that I want to say about just peers, we always encourage individuals to take workshops with someone. So if you have colleagues within the network that you want to take the workshop with, someone that will be on the computer at the same time with you, that's also encouraged as well. Okay, I'll pass it back off to you, Jessie.
Well, I think that's about a wrap today. I'll stay on the line for any more questions about sort of the logistics process. I can't answer questions about the content of the workshops, but I've dropped our email in there for you to send any questions our way. We'll get a recording out with captions as soon as possible, and all the dates, stay tuned. We'll use the registrants for this class to continue to post information. There's no MLA CE for an informational session today. Today's informational session, it will be for the workshops themselves. So thanks everyone for your time and attention today. We're very excited. We hope you are too, and we hope to see as many of you as we can in the workshop. So I'll
Thank you.
stick.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carrie, Ariel, and Julie. Appreciate your help today. Or not help, I appreciate you being here today. And we'll see everyone. I'll stay on the line for just a moment, see if there's any more questions. Otherwise, we'll see you all later.
Would you like me to stop the recording or
Yeah, please. Yeah.